This is How Curious from KGOU, exploring your questions about Oklahoma. I'm Claire Donnelly. Tim Spindle operates a kind of hotline for Oklahoma's libraries.
I manage a department that answers all of the incoming phone calls for all of the libraries.
Spindle's 5-person team attempts to answer thousands of calls each week, from general things like how to pay overdue library fines to very specific inquiries.
Who gave Oklahoma district attorneys, councils, the right to scan license plates? Another one was, what is the Mayan word for squirrel? Somebody asked if they could check out a bag of bones that they could use in their anatomy class.
Sorry, they asked if they could check out a bag of bones?
Yes.
And what was the answer to that?
The answer was, unfortunately, unless you're making a personal slight or joke against staff, no, we don't actually have a bag of bones that can help you with your anatomy class.
Spindle is used to answering questions, but a while back, he got one he had a personal connection to. Someone asked, why is there a Putnam City school district, but no Putnam City? Spindle is from the Putnam City area.
I'm sure at some point in my life I had learned some of the history, but it had completely escaped me.
He did some research, but wanted to know more, so he reached out to How Curious to answer this question.
This is the 1939 yearbook. And this is
the Putnam City School District is located in northwest Oklahoma County. It consists of 27 schools spread out over Bethany, Oklahoma City, and War Acres. Mike Brake runs the Putnam City Schools Museum. He graduated from Putnam City High in 1965. The museum's small building is crammed with yearbooks, sports uniforms, and other memorabilia from throughout the school district's history. There's even a giant papier-mâché pirate head, part of an old costume for the high school's mascot.
We have a pirate head. Try on if you want.
That's okay.
It smells a little musty inside.
I don't doubt. Wait, what year is that from?
That's 60s sometime. That's
Brake says the district's story starts with a Georgia man named Israel Mercer Putnam. Putnam was born in December 1873. After finishing law school at the University of Georgia, he moved to Oklahoma City on July 4th, 1901. According to the Oklahoma History Center, Putnam started a law firm with Sam Hooker called Putnam and Hooker. Brake says Putnam also expanded into real estate.
I would say if there was one word to describe Mr. Israel Mercer Putnam, it would be he was a bit of a hustler. He had a law degree, but he didn't want to practice law. He wanted to build houses and make money. And he went from one thing to the next to the next.
Putnam was so successful as a land developer that he dissolved his law practice. In 1902, he formed the Putnam Company, a real estate business, and developed several Oklahoma City projects, including the Putnam Heights and Military Park neighborhoods. When Oklahoma became a state in 1907, Putnam was elected as a Democrat to the first state legislature. Lawmakers were trying to decide where to put the new state's Capitol building. In May 1910, Putnam purchased 2,000 acres of land northwest of Oklahoma City. Putnam planned to build a city there called Putnam City. Then he offered the land for the new state capitol. Here's Mike Brake with the Putnam City Schools Museum again.
It was going to have a big loop with a center plaza or something, Putnam City Grove, he was going to call it. Capitol was going to be there, and you're going to have houses and commercial property all the way around it. It was going to be a big deal.
An ad with a proposed layout for the city shows 8 plazas with names like Elysian Plaza and Olive Plaza.
Mr. Putnam said, I will let you build the Capitol for free on my land where I'm going to develop the city of Putnam City. And they said, wonderful, thank you, great. And then Mr. Gaylord and Mr. Chartel and the downtown powers said, no, we want the Capitol closer to downtown.
According to the History Center, lawmakers in the State House of Representatives accepted Putnam's deal, but the Senate objected.
Too far out from the central business district. Today it takes you 15 minutes to drive out here. Back then you would have had to probably ride a horse and buggy. Very few automobiles at that time, and the roads were not good either.
Plus, there was competition. Another real estate firm had offered 40 acres at Northeast 23rd Street and North Lincoln Boulevard, which is where Oklahoma's state capitol building sits today. Brake says Putnam was left holding all this land.
In 1914, the parents of four one-room schools in the northwest part of Oklahoma County came to Mr. Putnam and said, we're going to consolidate under a new law and put our four schools together to make Consolidated District number 1, the first one in Oklahoma. And would you give us some land? And Mr. Putnam said, yes, I'll be happy to give you some land on this property that was going to be the state capitol, the city around the state capitol.
The first classes were held in 1914 in what is now the Arnett Building.
The first few years, the school buses were horse-drawn here. People rode their horses to school and had a hitching post out front. It was country out here, really country, and pigs and hogs and, all that.
The first graduating class in 1919 had 3 students. Meanwhile, Putnam stayed in the land business in Oklahoma, doing work in places like Ardmore and Miami. He eventually moved to Texas, where he died in 1961. Kent Mathers graduated from Putnam City High about 5 years after Putnam's death. He remembers hallways crowded with students.
You often just bypassed your locker because you couldn't squeeze in to be able to open it up. So you just would carry your books with you. And back then, backpacks were not popular.
Now, Mathers helps Mike Brake with the Putnam City Schools Museum. So, despite Putnam's big dreams, there's no actual municipality called Putnam City. Because Oklahoma's state capital was placed elsewhere, the Putnam City School District is named after a city that never was. That's it for this episode of How Curious. The show is a production of KGOU Radio. It's produced by me, Claire Donnelly, and this episode was edited by Caroline Halter. David Gray composed our theme music. You can see pictures of the original plans for Putnam City on our website, kgou.org.